organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Tonight on Daily Iowan TV, Chinese students are forced to adjust to a rising discrepancy between the yuan and American dollar.
Plus, Iowa state lawmakers advance a bill that might make local gun owners blush.
If there's one thing both Iowa basketball teams have, it's style.
We've got everything from hoops to hairstyles later on in sports.
All that and more coming up.
Don't adjust that monitor because Daily Iowan TV starts now.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Cole Johnson.
And I'm Maria Palladino.
The Iowa caucus are nearly here. 4 years ago, they fell over school break and most students were away. This year, though, some UI students are reading for the political frenzy. On February 1st, members of the Hawkeye community can cast their support for the next president. Daily Iowan TV's Brad Martin takes a look at how campus groups are gearing up.
It's caucus time, Hawkeyes. And with the first time in 4 years that the Iowa caucus will be held while students are in class, it's a big deal.
Voices can sometimes be overlooked or overheard, but being that we're in Iowa City and in an election year, we're really kind of spoiled in terms of how many candidates come here in different campaigns that want to interact with students to get their vote on caucus night.
Depending on a voter's particular slant, different precincts are set up by party for voters to place their caucus vote. Different student organizations have one thing in common: taking extreme measures to get students out to the polls on February 1st.
We partnered with the University of Iowa Student Government and the College Republicans to put on a Hawk the Caucus event that happened right before Christmas break, winter break happened. And that event, basically, we had tables of all the campaigns that students could go up to and talk to them.
So wherever you'll be February 1st, get educated and go out to vote.
I think me and my roommates are all going to go together. Just a small group of friends as well, maybe. But
Democrats and Republicans alike stress the importance of getting out to the poll and voting. DITV, Bradley Martin.
Depending on where you live, you might be seeing different campaign commercials according to an analysis by the Associated Press. 1 in every 4 political ads for Hillary Clinton shown in New Hampshire feature a push for tougher gun control laws. However, only 1 in 17 ads shown in Iowa feature gun laws.
UI students will soon have a new general education requirement to fill beginning in 2017. Undergraduate students will have to take a diversity and inclusion course in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. Late Wednesday, UI's Associate Vice President unveiled the requirement, along with marking Thursday's opening of the Center for Diversity and Enrichment in the Old Capitol Center. Georgina Dodge says efforts to make the school more inclusive are continuing after a strong 2015.
If you've been watching the stock market, you've probably seen the falling price of gas, but also on the downswing, the Chinese currency yuan. This devaluing is hitting the local Chinese students' wallets pretty hard. Our reporter Zhao Li has more.
The Chinese currency yuan has been devalued against the US dollar since June 2015. 620 yuan turned into $1, but they need around 660 now to convert into the same amount. This may sound minimal, but the Chinese students here at the University of Iowa need to pay roughly 6% more for their tuition just because of the exchange rate.
It's like $1,000 higher than last year.
The devaluation is also making an impact on local Chinese students living.
I stop playing game and buy less shoes.
The restaurant is a big deal. I would rather cook more rather than go to a restaurant.
But the devaluation also has its positive side.
It makes yuan cheaper, which means that making that buying Chinese-made goods is cheaper, and so that induces people to shift from one country to another.
For those who are already here, they will probably just have to make it work. But for people who haven't come to the U.S., they still have more of a choice.
I think I will still study here since I've come to America. So the rate is getting higher and higher. I have to study here to finish my degree. More Chinese students may choose to go to other country like Japan, but not go to America because they don't want their parents feel more pressure because of money.
Reporting from Iowa City, this is Zhao Li, Day Iowan TV.
On Thursday, Iowa state lawmakers advanced a bill that would give state gun owners unique access to firearms in times of emergency. To protect Second Amendment rights, the bill says that state officials can't reduce lawful gun possession in times of public disorder or disaster. The bill passed through a 3-person panel on the House Judiciary Committee and will head to the full committee before being voted on in the House of Representatives. Critics of the bill call it unnecessary, largely due to the scarcity of said events.
Late Wednesday, Urbandale police began chasing a reckless driver in its city. Just 2 minutes later, the chase ended with the car slamming into a Des Moines Regional Transit Authority bus. The bus was empty at the time, except for the driver behind the wheel. 23-year-old Zachary Sanger of Sparta, Wisconsin, was charged with multiple violations, including having an open container and committing multiple traffic violations.
Well, Maria, I don't know if you've noticed, but it has gotten a lot warmer out lately.
It really has, Cole, and I'm loving it.
I'm loving it too. Well, let's see what we got for the rest of the week. Let's toss it over to Zhao in the weather studio.
Thanks, guys. It certainly feels winter out there. We've had some really freezing weather as we take off this semester, but it looks like temperature will heat up for the next few days. But first, let's look at tomorrow. It's going to be cloudy in the morning with a temperature in the low 20s. In the afternoon, we can expect an increase to 27 degrees with a partly cloudy sky. As we head into the evening, temperatures should fall back to the low 20s. Taking a look at the rest of the week. Saturday will continue with a high of 28 degrees and a low of 19. Getting excited for the Sunday, we'll jump about 10 degrees in the mid 30s, but the heat wave won't last long. Next Monday has a 50% chance of snow. The temps will remain in the 20s for the upcoming Tuesday and rise slightly into the mid-20s on Wednesday. That's all I have for you here in the weather studio. Almost through the first week of classes. Back to you guys at the desk.
There's a fleet of Russian warships cruising along the coast of Syria for a show of power and support for the Russians' own air campaign in the country. These warships are carrying long-range anti-ship missiles and other air defense systems to help protect the Russia's airbase and the warplanes being used in the flight. The vessels are all along the eastern side of the Mediterranean, are being used to protect other ships and provide rescues at sea. The ships come from a naval facility in Syria, which is the only Russian facility left outside of the former Soviet Union.
A flight attendant is facing trial after being accused of making false bomb threats against the planes he was working in. Justin Coxever, who worked for SkyWest Airlines, is accused of forcing a flight to make an emergency landing in North Dakota and in Virginia. Authorities said he stuffed a bag with paper towels and then reported the bag as suspicious and making beeping noises. An FBI agent said Coxever admits to planting the bag and fabricating the threat in both cases.
Changes coming to the visa requirements for some European travelers hoping to visit the U.S. The Obama administration announced Thursday that some Europeans who have visited Iran, Iraq, Syria, or Sudan in the last few years will not face as strict requirements as before. The move angered some in Congress who are hoping for more travel restrictions. The move is made to allow those who have traveled to the countries, as journalists, humanitarian workers, and other legitimate reasons to come to the U.S.
On Thursday, an Iowan investigator says there is a, quote, reasonable possibility that gender bias played a role in Iowa's athletic department, firing former UI field hockey coach Tracy Griesbaum.
While screening the case as part of a U.S. Department of Education inquiry, the Iowa Civil Rights Commission investigator says a reasonable person could be assert Griesbaum was discriminated against by UI's athletic director Gary Barta. The university says her, quote, combative nature played a role in her firing.
The case that contends Griesbaum's 2014 dismissal is still in its preliminary stages.
Well, speaking of sports, I've been really excited about the Iowa basketball team. What about you?
Yes, they're doing very, very well.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to the game on Sunday, actually.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so let's hear what else is in Hawkeye Athletics in the sports studio. Zach, Taylor, take it away.
Thanks, guys. It has been a crazy season so far in college basketball, especially for the Big Ten.
That's right, Taylor. But before we jump to hoops, we have an update on another Iowa team that drew national attention this school year.
That's right, Zach. 2 senior football players have not played their final downs just yet. Iowa tight end Henry Krager-Coble and center Austin Blythe have been invited to participate in the 2016 Reese's Senior Bowl.
Now, Iowa football has had representation in the Senior Bowl every season since 2002, and this marks the 5th straight year that more than one Hawkeye player has been invited.
Taking it to the court, though, the Iowa women's basketball team has struggled in the fourth quarter their last few games.
Yeah, they really have, and it was a slow start Wednesday night that made the Hawkeyes fight from behind. I was courtside of the contest and have more.
It's a little too late for the Iowa women's basketball team tonight inside Carver Hawkeye Arena. The squad fell behind early in the first half and was fighting constantly in the second half, going on a 16-3 run at one point, but it wasn't enough as Iowa was given their 4th loss of Big Ten play by the Penn State Nittany Lions.
Congratulate Penn State. I thought they came out and played a great game. Couldn't tell that that team was on a 5-game losing streak. They came out inspired. They came out with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, and they took it at us.
Iowa was beat in just about every single major statistical category. The squad also shot a season-low 16% from beyond the three-point arc.
Collectively, we need to play better defense. We have to be able to stop a drive, be in proper help side, but it's definitely not one area that's collectively we need.
And now the Iowa women's basketball team is hoping that they are able to bounce back with a chip on their own shoulder. But the week isn't over for the Hawkeyes as they have another Big Ten opponent later on in the week.
We got to take these losses to heart now. We really got to start focusing on, okay, we lost that one. Like, you don't want to play us next because we're hungry for a win right now.
It's on to West Lafayette to take on the Purdue Boilermakers for Coach Lisa Bluter and her crew for a chance to get back to 500 in Big Ten play. Reporting inside Carver Hawkeye Arena, Zach Mackey, Daily Iowan TV Sports.
Iowa has lost 4 of its last 5 games, but as you said, they have a chance to change with another game right around the corner. But before the women's next conference matchup, the men take on Big Ten opponent Rutgers this Thursday evening.
The team is 5-0 in Big Ten games so far this season, and Rutgers just 0-6.
As for Iowa, a lot of their success is coming from their offensive production and their ability to move the ball. I tell you more about the sharing that seems to be taking place.
We got 2 point guards on the floor and 3 guards.
With Coach McCaffrey giving the green light on more of a motion offense, this lets his team have a little more freedom than most.
Lots of times in most games we don't run sets every time down. Lots of times we're just running our motion. Fran gives us a lot of freedom, and especially at the end of the game, we're looking for an easy layup or looking to, run a little bit of clock and then maybe score later.
That freedom needs one thing though. Execution.
You got to come down, you got to execute, whether we're in motion or whether we're running sets. You got to execute, you got to get a shot up.
The flow of Iowa's offense could come with the team's unselfishness when it comes to sharing the ball.
This team, we definitely share the ball, but I wouldn't say last year's team didn't. Just different guys on the floor, different times, and we've really been cohesive this year, and we've been sharing the ball and just trying to continue to get better.
The next key to this offensive production is communication, and not just from Coach McCaffrey.
It can't consistently be me that is communicating with these guys on what they need to be doing, what they're not doing.
One guy who does this pretty well, though?
Woodbury's really good at it. He's constantly talking to the young guys. He's really helped them out tremendously. Dom, so is Utah.
You could say that this team focuses more on what they are good at, and this offensive formula is definitely one of those many things.
Now, there have been some different hairstyles from this group this year for the men's basketball team, especially from Germany native Dom Ewell.
We've seen the wild hairstyle from him, but most recently, some braids. But unfortunately, the braids rest in peace now.
Because there was a rubber band missing, so kind of opened up. That's why I took it out. We'll be back though.
What are you thinking, Taylor? Put some braids in?
I was seriously thinking that. I was gonna braid it all up. Seriously, I think you should go
cut
bald
it off.
though.
Just cut it all off.
You should go bald.
There you go.
No, I'm just
cut
kidding.
it all off.
Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for sports.
We'll see you back here on Sunday, where we'll catch you up on all the Hawkeye athletics taking place over the weekend. Back to you guys at the desk.
That's all we have for you tonight on Daily Iowan TV.
Be sure to check out our website, dailyiowan.com, for all the latest news between now and Sunday. For Daily Iowan TV, I'm Cole Johnson.
And I'm Ray Palladino.